Hello, I'm Dr. Cheryl, and welcome to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl, Wealth Transformation. Our show is raising the awareness and consciousness in the relationship with wealth and applying unconditional love. Our show tonight will be the wealth of probiotic health practices and how it will save your health and your grocery bills in the long term. With all the unfortunate behavior surfacing in our own backyard, communities, and planet around the unhealthy relationship with money, we have to focus on love, love, and more love. The only virtue that will save humanity is truly the practice of love. Love yourself unconditionally first. This is where it all starts. Do not criticize, judge, and blame anyone else for what happens to you. It's your gift to love yourself enough to see the benefit and the higher purpose of what you are going through. Love yourself enough and you can love others with the same heartfulness. Always remember that the present situation is not your final destination. The best is yet to come by Zig Ziglar. I'd like to start with a joke. There was a man on his deathbed one day. His wife made a rhubarb pie and the aroma was penetrating the whole house. He suddenly got up, since the aroma was tantalizing his senses, and he went into the kitchen to cut a piece, and his wife came over and slapped his hand and said, "That's for the funeral." This is from the Prairie Home Companion. Thanks to Steve Mason for sharing it. This is a cute food joke that I could come up with today. Our guest this evening is Kim Ireland, coming back for a second time. Originally from Rhode Island, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Clarkson College, now Clarkson University, Potsdam, New York. In 1963, Kim served as an officer in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for 2.5 years in Heidelberg, Germany. He met his wife, Elsa, while stationed in Heidelberg. Kim worked for Union Carbide Corp in their chemical division for 6 years and then formed a small chemical specialty company and sold it after 15 years. Kim has worked in different entrepreneurial capacities over the last 20+ years in environmental and holistic health arena. Kim is an active participant in Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth since 2009. Over the past 3 years, Kim has studied and practiced the art of the production of probiotics. And the solution starts with education. Over at your house with you and Elsa, and it was absolutely wonderful. And I know you even have more treats tonight. So please tell us, the audience and the viewers, how you became interested in probiotics. We know that you're a chemical engineer, so
right.
You've transformed your chemical engineering into
kitchen chemistry.
There you go. Yes.
Who would have ever thought, least of all me, that I would get involved in kitchen chemistry? But it was about a little over 2 years ago that I met a man down in Southern California who interested me in reading a book. And the title of the book was GAPS Diet. And
is that GAPS?
GAPS
Yeah.
Diet. And it was written by a Russian neurosurgeon named Natasha Campbell McBride. And turns out she had had a 3-year-old son that had been diagnosed autistic. And when that happened and there was no help for her child, she decided to get another degree in nutrition to see if she could understand what was going on for her son. And so she did, and what happened after that is that she not only figured out what had caused her son's autism, but she also was able to come up with a protocol to help heal her son.
Wow.
And so since then, this was back around the year 2000, over the last 15 years, she has been setting up centers all over the world to deal with these issues. And so I didn't question her capability after reading the book. And one of the things that she stressed in the book was the digestive system and how important it is in our health. And I had no idea that it played as key a role in not only mental awareness and mental challenges, but just our overall health as well.
Now, hasn't probiotics been around for like 2,000 years?
Well, I don't think it's been around in that form where it's been identified as probiotics.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fermented foods, which are primarily based on probiotic organisms, have been around that long.
Yeah.
And people have known about the health benefits of fermented foods
Right.
for that length of time.
So why do you think it's becoming so popular?
Well, first of all, today we see advertising on TV. We see print advertising by companies on introducing the concept of probiotics, especially if people have used antibiotics and are looking to restore their gut health.
Yeah. Now, but my understanding, and from learning from you, is that the store-bought KEFUR, etc., probiotics really don't have the punch that they should have when you do it naturally, you know, like at home.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, KEFUR is one product. It's perhaps one of the most powerful foods that contain probiotics. But let's take a little look at the arena of probiotics. And what has happened in the last 10 years is the government, National Institute of Health actually, in 2007 commissioned a study to really learn more about gut health. And this was no small study, as they spent over $150 million over a 5-year period to basically understand more about what was going on in the digestive system. And one thing they found out was that in our digestive system we have over 100 trillion microbial cells.
It's almost incomprehensible.
100 trillion. And just to give you an idea, our body is composed of only 10 trillion human cells. So we are literally outnumbered by our microbial cells in our body 10 to 1.
Wow, wow. That's hard to imagine, you know.
It's astounding. Weight-wise, of course, they're a relatively small percentage in the 3 to 5 pound range for the average person, so it's only a couple of percent maybe. But they're very important, and what the study showed is that these microbes perform very important functions that they had not recognized.
Like what?
Well, one of them is they're able to synthesize vitamins, like for instance vitamin B12, which is a really important vitamin. They have communication pathways.
Oh, yeah.
They basically came up with the definition of the gut as the second brain. So not only do we have our brain in our head, but we have a brain in our gut. So when you say you've got a gut feeling about something, there's some real truth to it.
Or if you have an upset stomach about something that's happening, you got to listen to it.
Exactly, exactly.
And that creates more acid.
Exactly. So what Dr. McBride found out that was really key and has been confirmed by the National Institute of Health study is that what goes on in the gut can dramatically affect what goes on in the brain. There is a connection. And basically, Dr. McBride concluded that toxins created by an unbalanced gut, in other words, the microbes were which we have about an 80-20 split between beneficial and what are called opportunistic or labeled bad bacteria. When that gets out of balance, then toxins can be formed and given, or will go across the blood-brain barrier and create different mental
like
conditions.
depression or something like that. Now, I think in one of our conversations, you had mentioned that this could be like the new Prozac. It could be the replacement for Prozac.
Well, that's...
I mean, I suppose medically you can't really say
Yeah.
that, but it keeps your pathways clear so you don't necessarily get those mental and emotional out of balances.
Right. What actually has shown up in a study is that in the gut, the microbes have the capability to actually influence our thinking and feeling that we traditionally think of as being in our head. And actually, they've coined the drug companies have coined a new word for these beneficial microbes in our gut, and they're called psychobiotics. So what was originally just known as probiotics is now being more narrowly defined as psychobiotics in recognition of the effect that they have on our mental state.
Wow, that is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge because, and we need to spread this word because and I probably shouldn't say anything, but the drug industry has way too much power and they make way too much money on people that are not educated. Right. Basically. So tell us how does KEFUR fit in with the probiotic food?
Okay. One of the products that, one of the foods that Dr. McBride talked about as being very beneficial to the body and to the brain, that is a very strong probiotic food, is a product called KEFUR. And actually what it is it's a dairy form, and it's milk that has been fermented in a particular way. It appears, I brought some with me tonight, and so
I know you brought lots of stuff here tonight. This is very exciting.
Okay, so this is what KEFUR looks like, and it's it's kind of hard to see maybe with the camera, but it's a pourable, drinkable yogurt. Only it contains far more probiotics than yogurt. Mm-hmm. And so this product or food was actually first developed or recognized about 2,000 years ago in the Caucasus Mountains of Western Russia between the Caspian and Black Sea.
That's what I was talking about earlier when I asked you about the 2,000 years. That's what now that ties in.
Okay, yeah, that's where KEFUR gets its origin. And the word actually in the Turkish language means feel good.
Yes.
So there is a connection between the probiotic and the KEFUR and feeling good.
Wow, we need that across the planet.
Exactly.
So wake up with KEFUR.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things that that probiotics do is they influence the digestive system and the immune system in a way that that we get this feeling of just feeling good, simply feeling good, and it's a way. It's actually serotonin that is being produced in the gut. 80% of the serotonin our body produces is in the gut.
And that's with KEFUR.
Well,
probiotics, both.
Yeah, whatever probiotics you might be using.
Yeah.
influence the production of the serotonin in the gut, which ends up giving us this feeling of well-being.
And we all need that with all the stresses that go on in life. Oh, more and more. So it is a bacteria, right?
Well, what the kefir consists of, first of all, it's milk, and this milk is treated with a what's called a SCOBY, which is a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. It's a big mouthful.
Right, right.
But it's this organism actually ferments the milk, much as yogurt is fermented by bacteria, to create the fermented dairy product that has the probiotic benefits.
Can you show us how you do this?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
I mean, this is like the beginning. This is a teaser for all the products that he brought. He has brought so many wonderful things, and I'm excited for all of them to come out. But since this is kind of the base, he can show us how to do that.
Oh, where's my bottle?
You'll find
Here
it.
it is. Yeah. Okay. So there are a couple of ways. First of all, kefir can be purchased at any health food store, and which is the way I suggest that people become aware and familiar with the food. So you can simply go to a health food store, or now many grocery stores also carry it.
And I've purchased online.
Okay.
I found, and they sent it to me in a package that it was live and it wasn't dry, because I know you can get it dry too.
Oh, you're talking about the kefir grains?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about the kefir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the kefir itself. So this is kefir which I've made, but backing up, you can buy it at the store, which is what I suggest that people do to start to see how their body gets along with kefir, and so they get the idea of what it's like to actually consume it.
So the kefir, actually, my understanding is that it also takes the acidophilus out of milk, so that if you have an allergy to that, and like for me, it's bloating and
oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah, many people have
lactose.
What's called lactose
Yeah.
intolerance
Right.
from dairy products, not just milk, but
Right,
cheese
right.
or ice cream. And what that's about is that our body has to digest the milk sugar, and some of us have, that's a challenge for us to do it.
Yeah.
And so when the kefir is made from milk, the kefir organism lives off of lactose. So it reduces the lactose, which is traditionally in the area of 4% in milk, down to under 1%. So for people who are lactose intolerant, this is a wonderful way to be able to enjoy milk once again, without the repercussions.
The byproducts of,
yeah,
the
of the
allergies.
exactly.
So you were talking about the kefir.
Yeah, there's so first of all, I suggest you try it by buying it in the store, and then if you like it and decide that you'd like to consider making it, you can actually buy one of these starter kits online. Consider making it. You can actually buy one of these starter kits online, and they have packets similar to the way you make yogurt. And so you simply add a packet of this to a quart of milk, and then let it sit overnight, and you just put a coffee filter over the top to keep any fruit flies or whatever out, and you just let that sit on your counter overnight, and the next morning it will have kefired the milk. Mm-hmm. So this is what I suggest as the second way to utilize kefir, is to make it from starter. And this is a very simple process, and there's nothing to be maintained. You make it once, and then you can save roughly a quarter to a half a cup and add milk to that, and for 4 or 5 times it will make kefir. These starter packs run 2 for $6, so it's...
Well, you can't beat that.
Yeah. So that's the second way to get kefir. The third way, which is what I've been doing for 2 years now, is the way to make, quote, authentic kefir versus commercial kefir, which you buy from the store, which has roughly 10 different bacteria cultures. This starter has about the same amount. And when you use kefir grains to kefir the milk, you're going to get about 40 different cultures.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
A huge difference. And this is the way that kefir was made authentically. You cannot buy this authentic kefir in the store. It's not permitted to sell kefir that contains any yeast. And so the kefir grains contain not only bacteria but some beneficial yeast, which are not damaging to our body in any way, but they are beneficial. But in order to get this benefit, what you have to do is you have to basically have an agreement with yourself that you're going to take on a pet called kefir grains.
Yes.
So let me show you what that looks like.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So here's my jar of kefir grains, and this stays in my fridge, and it contains milk and also these grains called kefir grains that when I'm ready to make a batch, I strain these grains out and add them to the milk and simply set the jar of the milk and the kefir grains on the counter for 24 hours, and the grains do their thing and kefir the milk. So that's basically the process that I've been using now for well over 2 years. I make at least 4 batches a week. So I've made probably 300 or 400 batches over the last 2 years. And it's very low time required. It's
and I can't wait for you to share what you do with this.
With the kefir.
With the kefir.
Okay.
And the whey.
And the whey. Okay.
So can it make you sick?
That's a really good question, and that was one of my first concerns when I decided that I wanted to give this probiotic food a try. It was so highly touted by this Russian doctor. And so I did some investigation online with sites about kefir, and kefir contains primarily lactic acid bacteria. These are beneficial bacteria that far outnumber any possible pathogenic kind of bacteria that would be present. And so there is absolutely no way that in this process that you can contaminate the kefir in a way that it would be harmful to you. It's not like people are familiar with canning, where if they don't do the process exactly right, you can end up with a botulism bacteria that's very harmful to human health. That possibility doesn't exist with the kefir.
So you can leave it out leave it out in the on the counter for
Yeah, it doesn't.
It transforms into another form, though.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't actually putrefy like pasteurized milk does. It's more like raw milk in that it just simply sours, and so the taste gets sour and sour and sour as it gets older. but the lactic acid bacteria are still in control. So it doesn't form mold, it doesn't deteriorate into
So it's very difficult to get sick.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of talked about the health benefits already. I mean, on drinking kefir with your brain and your stomach, your stomach brain, and how it affects your chemical reaction. And I think that we can't stress that enough about how important it is to be using this to help, keep you feeling good. Exactly.
Well, that's not the only thing that you can expect when you start drinking kefir. It has a way of reducing inflammation in the body, not only for your mental acuity, but also physically as well. So
that's important, because I know that inflammation can actually cause death. From a medical standpoint.
Right.
So this is good to keep the inflammation down.
Right. Yeah. It's whether it's aches and pains or something more serious, the probiotics being of a beneficial nature that's what they do. They basically try and keep us as healthy as possible.
So when you get it to this form, then you make the kefir, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you do after this?
Okay.
What's the next step after the kefir?
Let's see. Do I have the... Oh, we didn't bring... oh, darn. I can't do it. Okay, I was going to actually show you what the kefir grains look like, but I don't have something to strain it into. So
oh gosh,
that's okay. Yeah, after we've made the kefir from the kefir grains, you remove the grains and put them back into the storage jar, and this goes back in your fridge. And what they do in the fridge is they go to sleep. Okay? The kefir guys like to work around room temperature. They need like 68 degrees minimum to really kefir the milk.
So, but you put milk, don't you fill it with milk, after you have the grains, after you've strained them, you put the grains back in, and then you put milk in it.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you let it sit out for 24 hours? Or you put it in the refrigerator?
Oh, this goes, the kefir grain storage goes back in the fridge.
Okay.
If I have enough kefir for
Right.
the next day or two.
Right.
So that goes back in the fridge, and the kefir grains, which are like little cauliflower organisms, they're about the size of a pea, they go back in here, and essentially they go to sleep because it's cold in the fridge, and they go into like hibernation mode. So until you bring them out and use them again.
Okay, so you don't really let them sit out for 24 hours. They're in the refrigerator.
Well, they sit out when they're making the kefir, and then you strain them.
Okay.
And they go back in the storage milk. This is the kefir that you're going to drink, and this is the storage milk that the kefir live in when they're not making kefir.
Now, can you put flavors in here?
Sure.
And
just
how like if I wanted to have, say, cranberry, how would I do that?
you can you could add cranberries or cranberry juice. Just as you would to yogurt, to get the flavor, and maybe you'd want to add a sweetener like honey or stevia or agave or
Xylitol.
Xylitol.
Xylitol,
Exactly.
That's what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you could use sugar. I prefer not to use sugar.
Oh no sugar.
in any
Sugar's
of my,
addictive.
Yeah, I know.
It's like heroin. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's not good for us.
Exactly.
So I know that we're going to get to the best part of this show because he has so many ways of using KEFUR. And so maybe we should start doing that.
Okay, great.
Because we'll leave the best to last because he's got some wonderful sweets to share with us that he makes. So show us how and what you make from the KEFUR. The versatility, because there's so much. I had no idea that you can make so much out of KEFUR. And wow, it's exciting.
Okay, once you've made the KEFUR, you can mix it with fruits.
So you're on.
Okay, thank you.
This is his best part.
I am so enthusiastic about this whole KEFUR thing. So anyway, so you can take and blend the KEFUR up and drink it any way that you want, or you can simply let it sit out for another 24 hours and it will separate into curds and whey. And so you'll get usually about the top half of the jar will be white curds, and the bottom will be a more or less clear liquid. So that's the whey on the bottom and the curds on top. And so what you do with that is you get a cheesecloth, something like this, and you put it in a strainer over a bowl, and you pour the curds and whey into this cloth, and the whey will go through and the curds will stay in the cloth, and you simply fold up the corners and find a place to hang it in your kitchen over a bowl for roughly another 24 hours, and the residual whey that's still in that cheese will drip out and compact the cheese into a tighter cheese. And this is what you'll be actually KEFUR cheese. Okay.
Yes. So do you do anything with this after it's like gotten solid? Do you add anything to it?
Oh yeah. Well, this cheese you can use like you would cream cheese. You can make.
It smells alive.
Yeah. Well, it has probiotics in it.
Yep.
Okay. Live bacteria. So you can take and use this cheese in making dips. We make guacamole with it, onion dip, and we also...
A multitude of things.
Yeah, you can use it in
flavors.
a lot. We add it to other foods, and we'll talk some more about it.
Yeah.
In addition to the cheese, we get the whey, and this is what the whey looks like. And the whey is also a beneficial product that contains the same bacteria yeast profile as the KEFUR itself. It's just that the milk protein has been strained out in the form of the curds.
Now you can make. Now I have done the soda from the whey.
Okay.
And that's fun because it's like drinking carbonated. If you mix this with juice,
right?
Then it's like drinking fresh carbonated juice, and that's so much more healthy for you.
Right. Yeah. There's a number of different ways to use the whey. As Cheryl said, you can take a fruit juice, and I have a KEFUR soda here. Made from the whey and also pomegranate juice. So to do that, you fill the bottle about halfway with pomegranate juice, add 2/3 of a cup of whey, the balance water, and let it sit on your counter for 2 days, and you have a KEFUR soda.
And it's delicious.
So it's a delicious soda that has reduced sugar compared to the initial fruit juice, because the whey has reduced the sugar content, and now you have carbonation in here, and you have a healthy beverage that's better than drinking.
Probiotic.
It's a probiotic soda.
Yeah, and it's much cheaper. All this is so beneficial. I think you had said it saves about 50% than buying it commercially. So
Yeah,
there's,
at least.
There's not only a health benefit, there's a wealth benefit.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's another thing that we've done with the whey recently that's really delicious, and we add a few ounces of this to a glass with ice and sparkling lemon water with a piece of lemon, a quarter of a lemon or so, and drink it as a refreshing drink just by itself, and it's delicious. So you can either make a soda, you can drink it by itself, or you can actually use it to make fermented vegetables. And here's an example of two vegetables that I've fermented. One is shredded beets with some apple, shredded apple as well. And in about a week's time or less, by adding the whey to the shredded beets, you can create a fermented or probiotic shredded beets, which is absolutely delicious. Look at the color on that.
I know, it's beautiful. Huh? Yeah. And then what is this one?
This is actually kimchi, which originated in Korea.
Right.
And this is taking cabbage, garlic, ginger, daikon radish, carrot, shredding all of that and adding weight and salt to it, some salt to this as well, and letting it sit for a week and creating a probiotic vegetable.
Wow.
And what we do with these is we add them as a condiment to our lunch and dinner every day. It's one or the other.
So you have many flavors that you can add to your palate.
Exactly. You can also create a probiotic garlic. And this is a sweet and milder form of the regular garlic. After it ferments, it's much milder than when you simply take the cloves and crush them to use originally.
And then you have the not only the garlic benefit, you have the probiotic garlic
Exactly, more probiotics. So what happens, I have to tell you, Cheryl, is your imagination just kind of runs wild. Once you get started on working with the probiotics and realize the different foods that you can actually make.
Well, and you just recently moved into where you have the kitchen to prepare all this, and Elsa's getting involved in it too, your wife. So now you're just, there's no stopping you.
Exactly.
This is wonderful.
Two other products that we've just recently come up with is, one is a
oh my.
is a KEFUR fridge fudge.
Oh my goodness.
And
it's too good.
what I did was I took a recipe that that was based on coconut oil, honey, almonds, walnuts, and craisins, and added KEFUR cream to that. And so we've actually got a KEFUR fridge fudge now, which is not only delicious, but it's
healthy.
It's probiotic fudge.
So now, how do you sweeten this? Do you use
stevia I use honey.
Honey, okay.
A little bit of honey.
Well, that's healthier than sugar.
Okay.
And this is delicious. I've had it, and it's absolutely wonderful. I'm going to start making it when I get the right fridge or kitchen situation, definitely.
Okay, and one other thing I brought today is a probiotic chicken soup. And the way we convert a regular chicken soup to a probiotic chicken soup is we'll take, after we pour the soup into the bowl, We'll let it cool a little bit down to say around 120 or less, and add say a tablespoon of KEFUR cheese. So now we're introducing a probiotic into the soup.
Wow. So you use chicken broth, and then do you add vegetables with it, or
Yeah.
whatever you like, and then you add the KEFUR cheese to it?
Right. Yeah.
After it cools down?
Yeah, after you dispense it into the bowl that you're going to eat out of.
Okay.
And the temperature is not too hot because you'll kill the bacteria if it's over like 120.
Okay.
So you can use either store-bought soups, or we do a lot of soups from scratch using
it's healthier.
chicken broth or
So you just add it in after you've made the soup.
correct.
Okay. Okay.
After you've made the soup and you're about to eat it, you can add some KEFUR cheese for flavor and probiotics, and you can also add any one of these. You can add the garlic, you can add the kimchi, or you can add the
And that
beets.
just adds more probiotic to it.
Right.
Wow.
And it gives it kind of a tart flavor, really unique to the soup. So it's different and really fun to experiment with.
So what else can you pull out of your
Well, okay.
out of your pocket?
The last.
Out of your bag of probiotic tricks.
Okay. KEFUR cream is essentially made the same way as kefir, by just taking and adding a tablespoon of kefir grains to whipping cream that you buy at the store. So instead of milk, you start with whipping cream. You add the kefir grains to it. You let it sit overnight, and then you strain the grains out. And what you're left with is a very...
Sorry, I'm trying to follow what you're saying, so I can understand it. Maybe the audience can understand, or the viewers. So you do the same process, but you're using the whipping cream.
Whipping cream instead of milk.
Okay.
You can use half and half if you want, or we've done that.
Yeah.
But whipping cream gives a really thick, creamy probiotic. It's like, you can hold it upside down. It's almost like the consistency of whipped butter.
Yeah, it's thicker than cream cheese.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. So how would you use this?
Okay, so my favorite way to use this is in making frozen kefir.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
And I've tried some lemon and it was
Frozen kefir. And so I've gotten into a terrible habit of
every day.
Almost
Every day.
Almost every day, Cheryl. My wife found me this wonderful little...
Where did you get that, by the way? This is just enough for one person. 2 people, yeah.
This is a bowl that's it's a metal bowl with the liquid between the inner and outer shell, and you just stick it in the freezer to get it good and cold, and then you can add the kefir liquid. You can put some of the kefir cream in here, and you take it and use a spatula to stir it, and in probably 2 or 3 minutes, you actually have an ice cream consistency.
And then add the flavor that you want.
Right, and so I'll add, typically lemon is my favorite, and so I'll add lemon to it with some stevia, and it's you end up with about 4 to 6 ounces of an absolutely delicious dessert that is guilt-free.
Yeah, and I've tried the lemon. He shared the lemon, and it's absolutely delicious. Of course, I have a sweet tooth, so I like a little bit more sweetener.
Okay. You can also use a conventional ice cream maker to make the frozen kefir. And here we have about a quart of frozen lemon kefir. And
But that's all translated into ice cream.
yeah, this is essentially ice cream. You would call it ice cream. And
Kefir cream. Kefir
yeah, what
ice
it
cream.
has primarily kefir. It has some kefir cream, and that it also has kefir cheese. And the kefir cheese gives it a super creamy consistency, unlike if you just use the kefir or the kefir cream.
Right.
So it's combining 3 of the kefir products: the basic kefir, the kefir cream, and the kefir cheese. And then to top it off,
The fudge.
the fudge.
The fudge.
We cut the fudge up and add it on top of
Oh.
of the frozen.
And it's so healthy. Yes.
I'll just show you what it looks like. It's just looks like regular ice cream.
Yeah.
And after the show, Cheryl, I think we're gonna.
I think we're gonna have a little party.
I think
Kefir party.
I think we're gonna have a kefir party
And
here.
a kefir, a kefir fudge party. Yummy. Oh, healthy. No guilt.
No guilt.
No guilt. That's what I love. Now, didn't you lose? Well, you gave up bread too when you started this.
One of the main points that Dr. McBride made in her book, GAPS Diet, was that fat is not what makes us fat, it's actually carbohydrates. And the 2 kind of no-nos are sugar and flour, wheat.
Yeah.
And so...
and more people are catching on to that and not eating anything that's white.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as far as the carbohydrates and some of the dairy. I mean, now with this, it's like I've changed my thinking about dairy because it pulls the bad stuff out of it.
Cheryl, when I was a kid, and I played sports every season, okay? And when I got home from practice at like 5:30 in the evening, I would go to the fridge, I'd grab that quart of milk, and you know, my mother would say, "Don't drink out of the bottle." I couldn't help myself. You know, sometimes I'd drink the whole thing, you know.
Yeah,
It was a love affair with milk.
Yeah.
And then from probably the age of my early 20s until recently,
Interesting.
no milk. You know, it kind of got off the radar, and it was so, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Well, there was a lot of negative media and medical reports about, you know, how dairy is not all that good.
Exactly.
But you found a way around it.
I am back having a love affair with milk. I tell you, okay?
It's obvious.
And this is a quart container of kefir, and each day I drink pretty close to this quantity, one way or another, whether it's with oatmeal. I make a nice combination of kefir and oatmeal, or in a smoothie, or I'm having a little ice cream treat before bed. Whatever it is, that's about how much I'm using now.
Now, I do see one more thing here. What is this?
That's the,
okay.
That's the kefir grains, right?
I thought you were pulling something else out of your
Yeah.
magic bag here.
Yeah.
With all your kefir. And this fudge is saying, "Eat me."
It's
But
good.
I won't tease the audience and the viewers, though.
Okay. Good for you.
So, my goodness, we've talked about the savings, you know, economically, that it saves like 50% of your products that you buy here that you could save almost.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, it's way more than that. Like, for instance, on the beets, gosh, you know, in a store, a health food store, for that quantity of fermented beets, you'd pay probably at least $10, and the cost to produce it at home is probably more like $1 or $2.
Wow.
You know, for that amount.
Wow.
So it's at least a 50% savings. And what we've found, my wife and I, is that our food choices have actually narrowed and we get so much pleasure from eating these kind of foods that we're not spending money on Ben and Jerry's ice cream and you know, other
that's not cheap.
C's candy, and you know, some of these different little items that you want to treat yourself with. We're actually able to produce our own treats now, and we love them. And they're healthy for us.
Guilt-free.
They're guilt-free.
Yes, and that's good for your psyche, and it's good for your second brain.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's another thing that I wanted to ask you about, and that's the sugar factor, the pathogenic sugar factor.
Yeah.
I know we had touched upon that, and I just wanted to expand a little bit.
Yeah. The fact that that you don't have sugar present, the pathogenic bacteria, which feeds off of sugar, is not going to get a foothold and contaminate the product. And just today I read in the news that a creamery in Texas was shut down because of food poisoning that had come from their dairy products. I think it was some ice cream product, and they had to recall all of their products that they had sold to stores because some people died from
that's serious when people die.
So you're just improving the safety when you're working with the lactic acid bacteria.
Right.
We think of, we've been taught since we were just wee little kids that bacteria is bad. And so probiotics are a form of bacteria that are extremely beneficial.
The good bacteria.
And this has only scientifically been really documented in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So we have a whole new paradigm shift that's coming into play here with the beginning of the 21st century. This is not unlike what happened in the 20th century with chemical food preservatives and the use of chemicals in all aspects of our life.
And look what it's done to people and the planet and the animals, and I mean it's affected everything, the ecosystem, everything.
Right.
Oh.
So we're moving from a chemical focus into a microbial focus, and it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Yes. And preserve us a little bit, in a healthier way.
Exactly.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, and hopefully tap into that spiritual part of it too. Oh goodness. Well, are there any more recipes that you have? Maybe not. You don't have in your magic box here, but that you could share?
Things like we have a weekly ritual of pancakes on the weekend.
Oh.
And so it's very easy to make sourdough pancakes by just blending up equal quantities of kefir and flour.
So do you use just the kefir?
Just
liquid kefir.
Liquid kefir, flour.
And what kind of flour do you use?
I use all-purpose flour.
Oh, okay.
And just if you let it age overnight, by the next morning, that kefir will have converted the flour into actually sourdough.
Oh, wow.
So it's created a healthy form of pancakes.
Right. So I think we just barely talked upon this, is making bread, kefir bread.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you haven't quite.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, well, you're good because you don't eat bread. You don't eat much bread. I think you eat bread maybe once a week.
Yeah, we have.
I got to start doing that myself.
Right.
Because it does tend to bloat you. You
right.
know? So if you have an allergy to it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, any other?
I think for now that's probably about it.
I'm sure you'll be exploring other things because you've. I mean, since we first started talking, because I met you, almost 2.5 years ago, in front of Good Earth, and you were only doing the soda. at the time, or well, the KEFUR, but the soda. So now look what you're doing, and I'm sure it'll keep expanding and spreading the word out there, because not only is it natural and healthy, it saves big time money.
One last point I wanted to make is probiotics are what really helps to boost the immune system. And our immune system is what we depend on to purify our body of the toxins that we take in, whether it's from the air, whether it's from the water, whether it's food that we're eating. We go out to a restaurant, we don't know, you know, the quality of the
chemtrails,
whatever. Wherever the toxins may come from, our immune system is designed to rid our body of these toxins. And so the more friendly bacteria we have, the stronger our immune system is, and the better we are able to resist illness.
Yes, amen. And you know, is there any other wonderful last minute advice or anything that you'd like to share?
I think that's pretty well covered the waterfront for the time being.
Yeah, well, it's been wonderful, and we appreciate you sharing this and educating us about this. Because,
well, thanks for being so interested.
Well, hey, I mean, this is wealth of probiotic health. So here we go, and this is just the beginning.
I think so.
So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you, Elsa, for sharing, Kim, and I can't wait to dig into the frozen KEFUR ice cream and the fudge. And so that's it, and thanks so much.
Super. Was that timing?
If you're really interested in this, I will put Kim's information, and you can get information about this,
Sure.
And he'd be happy to share, you know, how to do this. And well, like I said, it's a plethora, a wonderful avenue to healthy eating, and probiotic, KEFUR, and ice cream and fudge.
There we go.
And thank you for watching. You know how to do this, and well, like I said, it's a plethora, a wonderful avenue to healthy eating, and probiotic, KEFUR, and ice cream and fudge.
There we go.
And thank you for watching. I'll leave you with this. Self-discipline is a form of freedom. Freedom from laziness and lethargy. Freedom from the expectations and demands of others. Freedom from weakness and fear and doubt. By H.A. Dorfman, American Mental Skills Coach. Remember the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. The world sometimes feels like an insane asylum. You can decide whether you want to be an inmate or pick up your visitor's badge. You can be in the world but not engage in the melodrama of it. You can become a spiritual being having a human experience thoroughly and fully. By Deepak Chopra. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life. By Henry David Thoreau. Your money is only energy for exchange, and the power of discipline and focus is to acknowledge what you can do without and not accumulating things you don't need. Thank you, Marin TV, for facilitating our show, and especially to my crew, Eric, Brad, and Ginger. Please support and become a member of Marin TV. Bye for now. Until next time.